Thank you very much, John. It's great to be back here in the city. Good evening, everyone. I went to Lowell High School here a couple years ago. I won't tell you how many. It's really great to be back. After 40, the most important question I think we could ask ourselves is, what work must emerge through us? Up till 40, we pretty much have all kind of done what, society has expected, more or less. But after 40, it's really an important time of our life to start to think about how could we recreate a second half of our life that brings us more joy, more fulfillment, more passion. How does that sound? Good, thank you. It is good, but it has to start from us. And so that's why I focus my work around talking about your work. I think work is the most important thing in our lives. It affects who we are. Years ago, if you met somebody at a party and they said, "So, Greg, what do you do?" You'd say, "Well, I'm an engineer. I'm vice president. I'm an assistant teller." You would give a job title, right? When you get older, it's important not to answer with a job title, but to answer with who you are, versus what you do. I'm a father, I'm a runner, I'm a parent, I'm a husband, etc. Because no one can take who you are away from you, but someone can take away your job title. So our work, your work, affects everything in your life. It affects how you feel about other people. It affects how you feel about yourself. It affects how you feel about the world. So I believe that work should be the focus for one's whole life. As I've written in my past books, I don't believe in the concept of retirement, because then you die. Better to find work which will last. It's true, statistically, it's something like 65% of men, and I think it's 58% of women, die within 10 years after retiring at 60. Now you might say, well, that's 60, but you know what? We're living longer now, if you haven't expected. So this is the time, really, to start to think about how to recreate a life around your work. I want you tonight to think about what work could each of you do that would last a lifetime, that would last until you stopped breathing. That's the question for tonight. It's never too early and it's never too late. How does work start out for most of us? We get a job that somebody told us about. Maybe we're 19 or 20, and we start to work at this job. And we just took any job because we needed money to finally move out and get our own apartment. And we really didn't think about whether we'd like the job. In fact, we never really even considered that. The fact was the job would give us some money. So this is how it works for most of us, right? You get your first job in your early 20s, and you start working and you start making money, which is cool. So you start to buy things, and before long, you're 25 and you're quickly into... you guys know this story. So now you're into debt. So now you get a little frantic, but it's okay. You'll just work harder, more, in order to pay off the debt. But then something happens around 30. You get responsibilities, right? Family, a house, etc. And now it's a little bit harder. You start to feel a little pressure. And you decide that it's not enough just to work harder. Now, in order to pay off these debts, you better do what? You better move up, get a promotion, right? More money. And the audiences that I have the hardest time speaking to are those folks in the 30s. Because, in the 30s, we're running so fast. We never really have time to think about whether we like our work. We just have to pay off that debt. So now we're in our 30s, we're running fast, and we decide we better get a promotion. The problem is with promotions is, you climb this ladder, as a lot of you realize, and then you find out at the end it's leaning against the wrong wall for you. And you decide maybe this isn't a good approach. So that's how that works. And then we hit somewhere between 38 and 45. In my doctoral work, 15 years of reading about what happens to people in terms of the intersection of their life and work, is that somewhere for most of us, between 38 and 45, one of five things happen for most people. A divorce, a layoff, a financial calamity, an illness, or just a layoff, or just a feeling like, is this all there is? You ever go to sleep at night and you've been really busy, so busy you didn't have time to eat, go to the bathroom, etc. But you lay in bed and you go, I was busy today, but what did I really accomplish? what contribution did I make to the world? I don't feel good about myself, but what am I going to do? I have these responsibilities. Usually, though, this is the best time to make change in your life, around your work, when you have a crisis. I think, with all due respect, the economic crisis that we're going through, which I actually believe is due to poor management, which is right, I've been writing management books lately. As we, the economic crisis that we're in is actually a good time to think about how to recreate a second half of life that's going to work better for you. It's funny when we're under crisis how it forces us to sort of look at things that are most important. So, for most people, it takes a crisis to make change. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish clients that came to me saw me way before the crisis. Never happens. So even if you go to sleep at night, and hopefully you don't have any of these issues happening to you, but if you go to sleep at night and you have this kind of feeling like, is this all there is? Well, it's time to do something about it. Tonight, now. And if you haven't noticed, we're living a lot longer. I think the average age is somewhere in mid-80s. I read the other day, it's like 86 for women and 84 for men in this country. And, if you look at some of the recent research, we're really wired to live to 100 if we take care of ourselves. I read something the other day that said a child born in 2010 could expect to live to 120 if they took care of themselves. So look at your age, whether you're 70 tonight, or 60, or 50, or 40, or 30, or 25, you have a long time left. So let's get started on the right work for you. And notice I said the right work.